Damn, we're already getting to the dragon sequence. I thought when I seen that in the PV that would be like maybe a later season type of thing, like the later climax moment, this big trial the girls have to go through. But nope, we're keeping it here. I do like we have a constant presence of the brimmed hats. I kind of assumed that it was gonna be one of those things where, you know, they hint at the very beginning. We have them kind of show up every now and then. But no, it does seem like they're wanting to keep them as a constant presence to the story, which is kind of important because it does seem like at least this particular brimmed hat seem to think that Coco is the one they hope for, the one that's going to save us, the one that's going to lead them to something, which is interesting. Again, I kind of assume it's going to be based on the fact that, I mean, she could be based on a bloodline, you know, maybe her father was a witch or something like that. I never really thought about it, but yes, technically, again, when Kiefer saw how she drew the lines and did the fabric cutting, he was impressed. He said it was like a form of magic. This is a magic in itself. And again, who taught her? Her mother. So there's always the thought there that, I mean, her mother too. Her mother may have potentially been a witch, and it just sort of just passed on to her without, again, her ever knowing that her mother was a witch. And again, that could have been why her mother was so against it. But the assumption there early on was the fact that, you know, her mother's like, well, you know, you have to be a witch. You have to be born a witch, just like everybody else believes you have to be born a witch. I don't know. It could be some sort of bloodline there. We'll have to wait and see. But anyways, Episode 4 of Witch Hat Atelier, really solid episode. Again, more world building. And I think the thing that I liked about this episode is getting a little bit more into the characters, each of these different disciples of Kiefer. We get a little bit of look into how Rishi responds to things, how Tetia responds to things, responds to pressure, and of course, Agate blowing up. Agate blowing up again. But yeah, let's get in the episode proper, opening up with a little bit of this description of the magic themselves, pointing out the fact there is many types of magic, but specifically the ones that they focus on is 4 main ones, which is water, earth, levitation, and fire. I thought it was going to be wind. Typically, it's elements, and so you typically put levitation or floating magic with, you know, wind. Wind itself carries people, but I like that there's a little bit difference here than typical, you know, magic systems or fantasy, whatever. It does specify there are other elements. It's just these are the ones that are people most focus on. Now, it's a little bit oddity here with the beginning segment here, and I had to kind of get it clarified with the manga, so it might just be me not realizing what they're talking about here, but they point out specifically how Coco is currently trying fire magic. She says Pyreball. She's doing Pyreball. And it doesn't really describe it well, but she's doing it in order to practice levitation magic. And what actually happens in the manga is she points out that Kiefer told her in order to learn levitation magic or to practice it, work on fire magic and give it some sort of form. Because fire magic itself, you know, you have to keep it into a form, otherwise it'll just burn up the sheet of paper that you're writing it on. You just write fire magic on a piece of paper, it's going to burn the paper. So there is a challenge to sort of give it form and get it away from the paper, basically. And that, I guess, is a form of practicing that levitation magic, practicing drawing that specifically. So that's what's happening here, is that she's failing miserably to make it get off the paper, and so the paper itself is setting on fire. It was an interesting little kind of thing to add to that as a way of learning levitation magic. But the other thing they kind of mentioned here, again, that was sort of skipped in the anime here, is that, yes, she's trying to learn levitation magic because she wants to fix the boots that she got from Agate. And Tetia notices that the shoes that Coco has that are Agate's are like, they look brand new. So Coco points out the fact that, yes, apparently back at her hometown, whenever they had travelers coming through, she would actually fix their shoes, you know, clean them up and pretty much restore them. So that was kind of a little added, I guess, lore to Coco's character, and this is something that she does on a regular basis, is take care of people's shoes. So Agate, apparently, whenever she does get her shoes back, it's going to be pretty perfect. Anyways, this whole conversation leads into talking about the fact that, again, that's the thing that we established last episode, is that the tool that Coco is using isn't seemingly what she needs. She needs something with a different weight or something that she could actually hold on to that she's used to from, you know, before. Which gets them to go to the Magic Stationers, which is in Callan, the township of the Marsh Woods. They get a little bit of backstory here in the idea that apparently they created this tower there in order to, you know, keep away the moleworms. And apparently, because witches were coming there regularly for that, it eventually created an entire ecosystem. Like, all the witches are coming there, where their shops are being built up, yada, yada, yada. Now, here's a kind of a sad skip that they had with the anime. Of course, you know, they're showing Coco around, and Coco's getting all super excited, and Agate's like, I don't want to be here to be her little escort. She want to play tourist or whatever. I got stuff to do. Kiefer asks, are things going well with you and Agate? And now, honestly, when I watch this in the anime, I'm like getting this sense of like, why does she even care about this girl? Again, Agate literally nearly got her killed. Let's just get the sugar coating off of it. Let's just knock that sugar coating off of there. Agate literally tried to get Coco killed. And yes, there's a sense there that she was trying to wake up Coco and make her realize how dangerous magic is, and hopefully this would make her fail and she would give up, but she nearly got Coco killed. And she nearly got Coco completely removed from this entire, becoming a witch process and, getting away from her goal of saving her mother. Nearly stopped her from, again, this is Coco's driving force, is to save her mother. Agate nearly cost her that. That would be in the front and center of my mind after this whole situation was, you nearly got me removed from this whole thing and I wouldn't have been able to save my mom. Screw you. But no, it seems like Coco really wants to mend some sort of relationship with Agate. And in the manga, it specifically gets in her mind where she's thinking about how she really wants to be friends with Agate because she's seen her magic. It was delicate and beautiful. So she must have a beautiful heart as well. So this gets in that whole kind of up in the clouds mind of Coco and the idea that everything is sugar and rainbows or whatever. But her mindset here is that because I see that Agate's magic is beautiful and everything, that must mean that she's a beautiful person as well. Like there's something in there that is hidden that only a beautiful person could create something like this. Now, Riche right next to her kind of clarifies, no, there's no correlation between magic and personality. So you need to get rid of that mindset. That is not true. You need to stop that. But at least it explains why I guess Coco is so obsessed with kind of being friends with Agate, is that she sees, again, Coco loves magic. And if she sees beautiful magic, she's going to want to be a part of that. I see that beautiful thing and I want to see more of it. I want to be her friend kind of thing. Again, it gives a little bit of context, a little bit of character to, again, their relationship there. Anyways, that's when they go to the Starry Sword, where we get to see the silver tree. This is actually cool because I was kind of curious as what they were going to get into with how the inks themselves are made. Because again, this is the lifeblood of witches. This is what creates their magic, allows them to create magics, whatever. Now, it does mention later on in the backstory of these silver trees, or at least the legend of it, is that a tree fell in love with a witch and gave up its blood and its branches so that they can cast magic, which makes you wonder, how is it a witch? The chicken and egg situation. It's a chicken and egg situation. How do you have witches when they have no inks and wands to use, but the silver tree sacrificed its blood and its branches so that she can draw the magics to become a witch? Now, it could just be that a woman, it fell in love with a woman and gave them this stuff, and then they became a witch, but whatever, anyways. Yeah, getting to see the origins of the magic itself is interesting. Again, giving some sort of lore as to, again, what creates the magic. What is this thing that creates the magic? And apparently it is these silver trees. They're normally silver trees, and then whenever they go to die or their branches die, it becomes blackened, and then they take that and they basically distill it down to just the ink itself, the blood itself coming out of it, extracting that. Now, here's the curious thing. To different concentrations, I'm curious if that's going to turn into being a thing. Because it did even kind of go out of its way to show how Nonoa was specifically giving her some that he just extracted. He's probably got plenty of inks. Why did he give her that one? It kind of makes me wonder if he possibly sees something in Coco. I mean, he was excited to meet her. He was excited to meet her, knows that there's something special about her. But did he potentially, get a certain concentration of ink to give it to her right then, and we'll potentially see her use that when they're trying to survive this dragon? I'd be curious, but it was interesting to find out there's different concentrations. I'm curious if that will end up being for certain things. Like you want certain concentrations for different spells, yada, yada, yada. We'll see. But yeah, that was an interesting little introduction there, kind of seeing them show the process itself, which again, it's just these cool little things that I personally like because it kind of breathes life into the world. It shows that there is a process to things. There's a shop specifically for this thing. Shows how it's done. Again, for Coco, it's exciting. Everybody else is like, that's the thing that gives it ink. That's perfectly normal. For us, this is something new and exciting to see her kind of doing that. We also get to meet Tartar, which is the grandson. You get to see him very briefly, making the actual, I'm guessing he was making the pins. There's another one that is supposed to be used for painting on like rocks and whatnot, that they put a cloth around it. Could have been one of those as well. But I'm sure based on the fact that he looks very unique, seems to put a lot of emphasis on him, he's possibly going to be something in the future, or at least part of the story later on. But yeah, she eventually goes down to pick out her particular wand or branch, and that's when we see the masked one, and they go chasing after him. This is so weird to me. If I swear if I was Coco right here, yell Keyfree, masked guy, we're running out the door, Keyfree. It's like she just bolts out the door, and Keyfree doesn't even notice a thing. I mean, it was potentially like way downstairs, but I mean, we don't know how tall this building is. I think we got a little brief shot of it outside, but it's like Kiefer didn't notice this at all? Like, dude, wake up. Like, a bunch of kids just ran out a door and you didn't even notice it? But no, they go rushing out there, eventually teleported into this one location where they run into a dragon. Again, getting a little bit insight into these characters this whole moment here. Tetria herself flying off, trying to figure out, if they're even in the same town. Eventually, the panic and despair that she gets when the moment that she noticed the dragon. Agate being MVP right here. I like this because, again, I was like one of those moments where it kind of dawned on me the moment it happened, but I like how they confirm it afterwards. The fact that she utilizes 2 spells right there out of nowhere. Very instantaneous. And she's coming from her little locket thing that she has, which has all their different little layers of paper that has all their circles on it. And it made sense to me the moment that it happened. I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Like, I would totally do that as well. The idea of like pre-loading your little locket there with a bunch of different spells. So she has them already. So all she has to do is just go, just that one little line right there. Now, still incredibly fast to pull that off. Open it up, see where the line is that you have to draw, or at least potentially know exactly where you need to draw. But it was still kind of cool there to see how they can utilize this as sort of, again, basically like a clip. Like they have a little magazine right there ready to go at all times. But yeah, the little scene where they hit the dead end, seeing Tetya kind of show this other side. Again, I was kind of assuming this was going to be the case because based off the previous episodes, I always got the sense that Tetya is too positive. She's too bubbly. And typically with a person like that, there's going to be like a side of them they're hiding. They have insecurities or something that they have within themselves they're trying to hide by being an outwardly positive person. Typically, if you see somebody that is always happy and always being positive, they're typically the people that are hurting the most. And so yes, it made sense to me the moment that she kind of showed this other side, there's that insecurity. Suddenly, not that Tetya is a bad person right here, not that she's hiding that she's a bad person, it's just simply this is a person that has an insecurity, and the moment they see something, they're running into a brick wall or something, it's going to come out very quickly. It's going to show very, very quickly. And right here, it's the, I didn't get to leave something behind. I'm going to die. I don't want to die. I didn't get a chance to leave behind my magic to somebody. Which I kind of wonder if possibly it's the case where she's lost a lot of people in her life and people that she feels have been forgotten and she doesn't want to be forgotten as well. Something like that. I don't know. Either way, it kind of, comes to surface this idea of that look, that very brief look to Coco that Coco picks up on. Damn it. She's blaming me. And she has the right to because it's obviously my fault. I got everybody involved with this. I rushed off without telling Kiefer and I ran after this freaking masked guy and I got us all swept up in the situation and we're nearly going to get eaten by a dragon. But again, more insight here into these individuals, how they react to the situation. Agate, as much as I don't like her for what she did in the previous episode, and what, they're kind of very harsh words in this episode, thinks logically here. Calm down, Tetria. We're fine. We're going to get out of this. Remember, we're apprentices. We have magic. We can use magic to get out of this. It's not going to help to be panicked here. We have to use our brains, get out of the situation. And what does that turn into? Tetya doing that. Because she immediately uses her head and thinks of something very clever. Turning the cloak into basically a distraction. Putting the wind underneath the cloak and just turning it into a distraction. Very clever. But yeah, Coco's all surprised by this, eventually sees the seal. I'm assuming the seal is potentially a way out, or is potentially the core of this entire illusion. That's my assumption there. Well, I guess because, she interrupts. Agate gets really ticked off and is like, yeah, you're sorry. Just like you're sorry that you turned your mom into stone. You're sorry that you got us in the situation. Yeah, you're sorry. It's all accidents, but it doesn't change the fact that you effed up. You're screwing up and you keep screwing up. So just sit over there and stop messing with things. I don't blame Agate. Like, it's so mean, but I don't blame her at the same time. It's like, Coco, you gotta look what you're doing. This goes to what Agate said initially to Tetya. When Coco was in the trial, what did Agate say? She doesn't understand where she's at. She's a kid. Let's be honest. Coco is a kid, but she's also a kid in a flammable shop. And she needs to acknowledge that whatever she does, every circle you make could cause death. Everything you do around magic could cause death. And you have dabbled in forbidden magic, which is typically used for death. That's why Agate's upset. You gotta stop swinging that bat around in the china shop. But Richet's little response to this, I kind of wonder if it's kind of a sign to her personality. As tensions are flaring up, Richet's over here just like, okay, I got the job done. Can we move on? Like, it almost gives a sense of like, Richet's like, okay, I'll finish the job, whatever, let's just move on. Can we survive? I love it. But anyways, elsewhere, yes, Kefri finally realizes that the girls have all left. He starts to panic, rushing around. Tarta knows the fact that he's seen somebody with a mask on with an eyeball on it. And this gets into a little bit of lore into the actual brimmed hats, in the fact that they wear hats from a bygone era. Their faces are hidden behind masks, and they were just hoping that they'd be able to find them. But it looks like they're coming to find Coco first. Hats from a bygone era makes me kind of wonder if there's a lot of more significance to the hats. Again, they mentioned before that the hat was sort of a symbol of something that is always watching your magic. It is sort of a watchtower, something that is always looking to make sure that you're not using your magic for a wrong purpose. I'm kind of wondering if it's sort of the opposite for the brim hats. They use these hats from a bygone era, which would potentially be an era where forbidden magic was okay, and thus they're hats that are open to seeing, magics of different types that could be seen as forbidden now. That's my kind of assumption. But anyways, that's the episode. Visually, as always, fantastic. Directing is just absolutely on point. I love the whole scene of them coming in there to seeing the tree and how, huge, and you have this guy, this Nanoa guy who comes down the stairs. He looks like he's out of a Ghibli film. His character design looked like he's out of a Ghibli film. Just all the inks and all the different objects in the actual shop itself. The little shot with Tarta, that was amazing. Just seeing all the little shavings and that little the light coming to the back and him just carving away the instrument that he's making. I loved all those shots. It was absolutely beautiful. The whole sequence with the dragon was great as well. Thankfully, I didn't notice it. Didn't look CGI, so I'm always grateful of that. The environment definitely had a CGI look to it at times, but definitely looked like everything else was 2D drawn, which was fantastic. That little shot where Agate turns around and just nukes it was just amazing as well. Just overall, really fantastic as always, but looking forward to more. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. If you did, hit the like button down below. Until next time, y'all take care.